everyone, and welcome to Workout Wednesday, my weekly podcast of everything health, wellness, fitness, and lifestyle. I am your host, Jeanette Ortega, creator of Butoga Lifestyle, which is fitness of mind, body, and spirit. I'm so happy to be with you today. Thank you for joining me. Please make sure to check out past episodes of Workout Wednesday. You can log on to butoga.com and check them, or follow me on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes at #Workout Wednesday. So thank you so much for being here. I am so excited for my guest today. Super, super excited. He is also one of the best-selling co-authors in the Little Black Book of Fitness. We hit #1 on Amazon in 6 different categories, and his story is incredible. Please let me introduce you to the awesome Mike Messina. Woo! My claps, right?
That was amazing.
I want everyone to really get to know who Mike Messina is. You may have already heard of him. He is fantastic, but Mike Messina is inspired to help people lose weight so that they can become happier and more confident. He is the at-home winner of NBC's The Biggest Loser. And he's a great motivational speaker, weight loss expert, and was an awesome personal trainer to the stars. So welcome, Mike. I'm so happy to see you.
So glad to be here. It's good to see you.
Yes, thank you. It's so great to reconnect. And I know our book came out a good few years ago. Can't even remember what year.
Has it been 5 years?
Has it really? It might.
I think so. Maybe at least 4.
Yeah, 2017.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, right? I know.
Back in 2017.
I know. Way back.
Way back.
Yes. And so what I'm loving is that I'm having quite a few of you on the podcast, and I'm loving rereading all of your stories. And I just reread yours a few times, and I'm sure everybody wants to know your experience about what it was like to be on The Biggest Loser, how you did it. And I really want to make sure everyone understands he did the at-home winner, which is even more difficult because once you're, what did they vote you off the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go home and now you have to have your own motivation, your own dedication to still keep going because you're not on the ranch, you're not doing all the stuff with the personal trainers that they have there. So to me, that's even more of an accomplishment. So kudos to you. And I just want to read the very first paragraph of your chapter because it takes you right into your story. And so I'm going to read it, and it says, "It was May 1st, 2012, when I walked out onto the stage in Studio City. In California, I was wearing a tailored royal blue Biggest Loser tank top and black shorts. It was the season 13 live finale of NBC's The Biggest Loser reality show, and I am the last person to get on the scale. I could honestly stand there in front of the studio audience and with millions of fans who are watching at home with no excuses." Love that. So tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us a little bit about you. Just give it to us.
Yeah, so that paragraph in that moment was one of the best moments of my life because for the previous 6 months before that, every moment of every day, every decision was so focused and so there was so much integrity in what I was doing. And I had been given this formula, and it was up to me to follow it or not, or try to, I'm sure you've had clients in the past that you've given them a formula and then they decide to tweak it themselves. And I just thought I'd make it, make this work out a little bit different. And the next thing you know, they're changing your program, and before you know it, you don't hear from them anymore. because they've just talked themselves into something different. Well, for the first time in my life, I had started something that someone had given me a prescription for, and I followed it to the letter. And I even did more than they said to do, whether it was the calorie restriction or the output of the workouts, because I wasn't going to leave anything on the table. And so I had this pride in knowing that whether I had won or lost in that moment, stepping up onto the scale to see what my fellow contestants had done, I had left it all out. And I felt it didn't matter what happened. I just knew personally that I had shown up when I never had before. And so I was grateful for that moment. And then to find out that I'd actually won the at home, it was overwhelming. I couldn't even talk. I mean, Allison Sweeney, the host, was asking me questions, and I was overwhelmed, and I told her I was overwhelmed. And man, I wish I would have prepared for that moment, because I would have said something epic if I could have. But I didn't know about public speaking. I didn't know about communication. I didn't know about being, like, how I was showing up. And I was still this, kind of introverted, weak person that had just done this amazing thing with my body. But the transformation emotionally still was yet to take place. And then I had all this work to do. So anyway, long story short, that was a great moment. And that's where I was at that time.
I wore this in honor of you today. And those of you that are listening to the podcast instead of watching it, it says beast mode, because that's full on what you did, was just literally shift gears and laser focus. How much weight did you lose?
It was a pound a day for 6 months, basically. So 174 pounds in 6 months, which was like 8 to 12 hours a day of physical training, from HIIT training to walking to swimming, basketball, anything that I could do to keep moving, whether it was intense or low impact. I was doing it. I was playing full court basketball for 3 hours. I was swimming for 3 hours. I was doing 2 2-hour boot camps every day. And then I would take Sunday off, and I would sprinkle in walks around San Francisco. So it was intense. And, but I'll tell you something, like, those are except for, the love that I have with my wife, those are the best moments of my life. And not the result of it, but the actual actions of it. And the fact that you felt that momentum when you were training for a show, and just, you're in this flow state. And to me, nothing feels better. And so I miss those days of, like, overachieving, if you will. And it makes me want to train for something crazy. And maybe I will at some point, like, go after something stupid again, like a 100-mile race or something ridiculous. I don't know. It's kind of where I'm at.
It's incredible to me, because even working out that much, that's so hard on the body. So I'm sure there were some injuries that showed up here and there along the way.
There was.
And I'm sure you were working even during that time while you were trying to train, or doing something.
No, I decided that I was going to change. So it's something I wanted to dig into if we had time today, this kind of mindset stuff.
See, that's awesome, because I'm like, that's great. You literally dedicated your time to it.
My whole life.
Yeah. Nothing else. This is going to be it for until the show is done.
Yes.
That's true dedication and commitment. I love that.
It had to be for me, because I couldn't have done it otherwise. There was other contestants that were Olympic athletes and WWE wrestlers and high school football players, athletes. Not all of them were athletes, but half of them were. And they didn't a lot of them didn't do as well, because they didn't, I don't know, I can't speak for them. But there was these people that had the experience of being super athletic in their bones, in their DNA, right? They had already done it. I hadn't. I'd been a couch potato my whole life. So I knew that something special had to happen in order for me to have success. And to me, it occurred like I had to, like, put blinders on. I told everybody that I loved that I was not going to be here for 6 months. And and I went for it. And I just shut down and right into the zone and did exactly what they said, which leads me to maybe a conversation that's not going to be I don't know, most people might find it a little offensive. I don't know, but I have to speak my truth. It's all I have. And I have my perspective, right? And it's not maybe so popular with everyone, but I spent it's been almost 10 years now since I was on that show, thinking about how can I help people? I just want to help people. I've worked with people, I've trained people, I've done all kinds of different avenues of trying to help people find what they want, which is to lose weight. The people that associate with me are the ones that are usually obese or morbidly obese. Not too many people that want to lose 10 pounds want to see me, right? They more want to see you because they want to look, they want that look. And most people, from my perspective, want to lose, just be normal, right? Just get this fat suit off me and let me feel like a normal human being and shop in normal stores. I want to go to Nordstrom and buy a pair of pants. Well, I couldn't do that. I had to go to a special store. So for the last 10 years, I've been thinking about this. What can I do? What's the missing link? How can I help? And it's been me kind of like banging my head against the wall. And then lately through the pandemic, I've had a lot of time to think. And it's been great. Like there's been so many good things that have come out of this whole mess that we've had. One, I dug into music. I've always loved playing music, but I never dedicated myself to it. So I dedicated myself to it. I recorded several songs at this amazing studio in Austin. And it's been really great, really fun to learn and grow in that side of my passion, because I love that more than working out, or I never wanted to be a personal trainer, but I always wanted to not feel the way that I did. And because of that, I wanted to help people, because I know how a lot of people feel. I know what it feels like to get kicked off a roller coaster. I know what it feels like to have my legs rubbed together until they bleed from being, from them being so fat. Horrible things happen to big fat people. And I know fat's not a very popular word, but I'm still going to say it because it's like, if I was black, I'd say I was black. To me, it's the same thing. But what I wanted to say, and this means a lot to me, and I'll get through it quick so you can ask me more questions, and maybe you can chime in a little bit too, but the data sucks. 1 in 1,200, and I think it's 77, so almost 1,300 men that are overweight or obese will try and not reach their goal weight. So you have a 1 in 1,300 chance of being obese and hitting your goal weight. And you even have less of a chance, if you are that one person, of keeping that weight off. For women, it's 600 and change. I forget the exact numbers. It's around 600. So you guys are twice as good as we are at losing weight, because you can handle 50 pictures in your head. Yes, you guys are really good at being organized, and we're just kind of men or plow through it. Whatever we are and whatever y'all are, that makes that difference happen is interesting. But if you think about the statistics, it's almost not even worth doing, right? It's not even worth trying. Right. But it is. But what's missing that the smartest minds in the world are having such horrible success? Well, I think it's the conversation. And I think it's that it's something beyond. There's enough workouts and nutrition tips online for a whole lifetime, for 20 lifetimes, 50 lifetimes. You can learn enough workouts and nutritional advice and diet plans to follow. People don't need any more of that, in my opinion.
We're oversaturated for sure.
Right. They have it. And most overweight, unhealthy people know it. They know how to work out because they've probably done it 10 different times or 20 different times, or however many started, stop. And so I've been banging my head against the wall, and I've just come to this conclusion, like, yeah, it might not be worth it if you want to pay $100 an hour to a trainer to maybe get some results, but probably going to not get the results you want. And if you do get there, you're probably going to gain it back because the odds are way against you. But wait, what can we do and what can we talk about to make those things different? And for me, it's like, you have to change your life. Like, you changed your life because you were doing shows that you were a fitness model, right? And in order to be a fitness model, you had to follow these crazy regimes. You had to hang out with those people because you wanted to learn from them. You had mentors, right? You're not hanging out at Krispy Kreme's. You're, drinking
Bye bye and
coffee,
smell it.
right? Drinking coffee and hanging out with those people. You changed your life completely. And you probably stopped hanging out with negative people that wouldn't, that as much as you may have loved them, might not have had the mindset, or might have been maybe, I don't know if you're into temptation or you get cravings that you can't handle if you're around food like that, or if you're really disciplined. Not everybody's super disciplined.
I'd always like give myself a good 2 to 3 months when I first started training not to go out, not to go eat
There
with
you go.
friends, because it's
Yep.
like, okay, I have to be strong enough myself not to eat or not to drink. And
Right.
so I'd always tell them, don't take it personally. This has nothing to do with you. This is me. I have to be strong enough to know that I can go anywhere and
Yeah.
not be tempted by it. I just have to give myself that time to build it up. So yeah, absolutely.
And so you're an outlier. You're special. You did something special, and you've done something special over and over and over again. And what happened is now it's who you are. It's your DNA. Your automatic actions are to do better things than to do worse things. You're more likely going to go do a handstand in Cabo than go hang out at Venice Beach and eat fennel cakes or funnel cakes or whatever. You know what I mean? It's that. So for people that want to change their life, and that's who we're talking to here, right? We're talking to people that have to change their life. There's certain things in your world that are triggers. Like you walk through that door that you've walked through for 20 years in the same house, and that door leads to the refrigerator or to the front door. Well, how many times have you walked to the refrigerator and opened it, looked around, maybe grabbed something, maybe not, and realized, what am I doing? Like, dinner's in 2 hours, right? Those kind of patterns get stuck in your body. And then when your body isn't moving that way, like it does every single day, then it starts to get angry at you and starts to send signals, hormonal signals, for you to take the actions that have worked and kept you alive. And when you go to a gym and go train, now you're telling your DNA, you're giving your DNA something it can't handle at first, that you have to fight tooth and nail to keep going against, because now your body's afraid of dying because you're putting it in these crazy situations of training, hard training, dieting, right? And your body's sending these thoughts and these signals. So in order to,
what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?
yeah, why, right? Why? And so people quit not because they're weak, but because of their biology, because of the programming of your, I call it DNA. I think it's DNA. I believe the science says that your DNA can be programmed and reprogrammed. In fact, isn't even the old C shot, something to reprogram your DNA so you don't get sick? I don't know. I don't want to go off the deep end because I'm not really super scientific. But what I do want to say is that people need to do something special and be someone special if they really want to change their life. And you don't have to get picked for a reality show. You don't have to, become a fitness model or a bodybuilder or whatever it is, but you have to do something special. Maybe it's you go on a vacation for a month by yourself and you walk every single day and you eat really well for that month and you focus and you journal, you some kind of a retreat, some kind of something. You tell your loved ones that you're unavailable for the next however many, like I did. It worked for me.
So what was it for you? What was that caused you to completely change your entire lifestyle? What was that for you? What caused it?
Sorry, my computer's asking me for my password. So let me just do this real quick so I don't lose you, because I can't see you now.
Oh no.
Oh, computers.
Yes. All the lovely technical stuff that we go
I
through.
know. I'll be right there.
No problem. This is awesome, because it really is getting into the mindset of it. It's getting into what triggers we allow. And so that's why I want to know, what was it for you that really caused you to go, I'm not going to be this anymore. I'm going to completely, radically change my life.
It was environment. I mean, I got taken out of this this dark place where I was drinking, I was eating to excess, I was miserable. Like I was trying to kill myself because I didn't like myself and I didn't like my environment and I didn't like what I had created. And so I was dug into it. I mean, I didn't feel like there was a way out. At that point, I had kind of resigned myself to, my dad died when he was really young. He was 52. And he died from lifestyle choices, in my opinion. Um, definitely, definitely. If it was at least a contributor to him dying, he had colon cancer. But I believe that diet had the majority to do with that. And I was, 41 years old when I got the call. So at that point, I was like, you're middle aged. How far am I getting? Do I got 10 years? Who cares? If I have, and I was in worse shape than my dad was when he passed. So to have that opportunity to be taken into an environment and then to be brought into this, Hollywood, how some of those people can be. And it wasn't the producers, it was the PAs, it was the little people on the totem pole that were working their way up. And those people were special and they were doing something special. And they had this energy and this beauty to them in their communication and in their leadership and things I had never seen before. I'd never experienced that kind of interaction with people, and it was magical. So I felt loved by these people I didn't know. And then on top of that, I knew that, there was millions of people that were going to watch me do this thing, and I could either kill it or I could feel more sorry for myself than I already did. And it was like, so then I got into these mantras a little bit where it was like, I'm going to do this or die trying. I said that all the time. I said, you only get one shot. Don't miss your chance to blow. I said that a lot because I love Eminem. And I'm on a mission from God was another movie reference from the Blues Brothers. And so I had kind of these self-affirmations going as well, to where I didn't care if I died. And that's why I trained to the point of passing out a lot. I'd get so dizzy because of how little calories I was eating and how much I worked out. And so I'd be standing there, getting ready to pass out, and I'd be laughing, right? Where most people would be afraid. I would sing and walk and run. I would count my steps, like when you count music. So I play music, and so I would count 5, 6, 7, 8. And sometimes it would be super fast, and sometimes it would be 5, 6, super slow, because I could barely move my body because I killed it for the last 10 hours. But I wasn't going to stop. So I'm insane, right? I went insane. I started out insane, and I took that crazy, and I went with it. But I found the tools in that crazy to be happier than I've ever been, to be more loving than I've ever been, to be a better communicator than I've ever been. And it's been this beautiful process. But it all started with this choice to go all in and to change my environment and to change the people that I hung out with. And the minute that, I've always said I'd rather sleep in my car than be fat again, because I've always known that my environment creates those bad decisions. And the people that I hang out with, it's just addicts, misery loves company. So if you love to eat and complain and be unhappy, well, there's plenty of people out there that are down to go stuff their face and then go bitch about it. Right?
Absolutely. And I feel even last year, so many people got into that as well, the pandemic, eating more than they've ever eaten before, not being self-motivated to work out at home. So they watched TV or,
average weight gain 25 pounds.
Right. So I call it the quarantine 15. That's pretty much like the norm, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, this is so inspirational too for those that right now feel like crap because they allowed that last year. And now they're back onto the path to let it go. And I love that you said you have to be all in. And I feel like people are always 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, I really want this. I really, really do. But the other foot's over here. But do I really want to give everything up that I love, this chocolate or this drinking or whatever it may be, So it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And so to be all in is exactly what you just shared. And, people have to actually be real with themselves. Are you ready to be all in? How bad do you want this change? We have choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so even after your show, after you won, how was it for you coming out of that? Did you keep that same mindset? Did you put weight back on? Like, what was that journey for you after that?
Yeah, so I kept the weight off for all of the weight. In fact, I lost a little bit more for 2.5 years,
Wow.
which is awesome because most people don't. And I believe that you got to keep it off for at least 2 to 3 years before your body recalibrates itself to that weight. And then I met Natalie, which was awesome. And she got me into communication and leadership and public speaking and all of these things that fascinated me more at that time than the training. So my training started to slip. I wasn't as interested in doing it. My nutrition stayed pretty much on point because she's got a specific diet. So I didn't have a whole lot of gluten going on. I gained some weight. At one point I had put like 89 pounds back on. And I just looked at myself and I was like, I'm never going to hit 300 again. This is ridiculous. So for the past year and a half, I've gotten back to a healthy weight, to a good weight. And I feel really good where I'm at.
Great. But and it always comes with balance. It's what I tell people after I competed. I looked the best I ever looked on stage, but I knew I couldn't maintain that. I couldn't maintain barely eating anymore. It's not something that's sustainable in a lifestyle. It wasn't a lifestyle. Right. It was for that certain thing. And so bringing ourselves back into finding what is the balance in life and how to deal with, I look the best I ever could, but I can't. But I also know what I'm going to do when I eat a little bit. So it's finding that. And I will say my first year of competing, I had a very difficult time finding that balance in my head. Sure. That's when, I believe all of us, and especially all of you contestants that do this, or anyone that goes on this huge weight loss journey, there's so much more in here. And like you said, physically I did it, but I still knew I had more mentally and emotionally to go inside. So fitness from the inside. So Completely. How did that transpire? How did you were physically good, but then what did you feel needed to still be worked on?
I didn't know it at the time, but it was communication. And it was being accountable for my words and being accountable for my energy and how I left people and how I showed up. And it's a lifelong, undertaking for someone like me who didn't communicate a lot and wasn't very good at it. I mean, TV was my communication. It was one way going into my head, and then me just dreaming about being in Hollywood, surfing, or whatever it was, like doing amazing things, because I knew I had it in me. I knew that there was something, there was a power in me that was not yet to be unleashed. And I had little moments throughout my life where I would unleash it and go, wow, you're badass, right? But I didn't have the confidence to keep saying it and to keep doing it for whatever reason. And it doesn't matter, right? We all have a story. We all have the demons. We all have the voices. And at the end of the day, the work doesn't care. And at the end of the day, nobody cares. You don't care if I'm skinny or fat. Everybody home that's listening to this could care less whether I'm 500 pounds or 180 pounds or whatever. It doesn't matter. It only matters to us. And people only care about our successes. You wouldn't be having this Zoom call if I had a tumor on my leg and you wanted to talk about it, right? Or some painful thing. You're less likely to want to talk to me about some personal tragedy than something amazing, right? So we all want to share those amazing things on Instagram and Facebook and show our food off, and we're at this beautiful place. And at the same time, that's what people care about. So they want to hear the greatness stories. And that's cool. I think it's awesome. But I also think it's awesome to talk about facts. And the facts aren't on our side. We live in a society that isn't set up for us to be healthy. Right. We live in cushy padded houses. We drive cushy padded cars, and everything's turn on the air conditioning. It's too easy. Everything's too easy. So we got to make it super hard.
I'm in Arizona now. I need air conditioning.
Oh, you can't live without it. You know how you could live without it is old world technology, Adobe buildings. You didn't need it with those. Right. I love that stuff. I really got into alternative building, and why we bought this property that we just got, because I want to build an earth bag.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah, it's my next project.
That's so good. See, and I love how you're transforming. And that's even more of what I'd love for you to share, is that because people just see what's on TV. People just hear the stories and they're like, oh, I'm so wrapped up in it. That's so great for them. Mm-hmm. But we all can do that. We all have our backstory. We all have our issues. Just like you said, we've all gone through some major crap in our lives.
Yeah.
And we actually need to be grateful for the lessons. They bring us those lessons. And I feel that's what it's brought you, and you have transformed completely. Even seeing you now from when I saw you a few years ago, you know, and we're always in evolution of ourselves, changing and transforming and peeling back more layers of the old self, allowing us to be who we truly are and shine more and more of who we are, you know. And so that's what I'm seeing of you. And I love that you are bringing this out to our listeners. So what real tips would you give someone that was in your shoes and is really ready to make that major change?
Yeah. How do I help someone kill the old them is the question. I think it's very personal. And I think as powerful and beautiful as words and stories are, because they're magical. The hero's journey it's undeniable. Joseph Campbell, the power of story. We all know that it's why people go to the movies, because it's the same story. It's the hero's journey, ups and downs, and you know, you reach the pinnacle and then you get knocked down and you get back up and you do it again, and it's a beautiful process. Have you read The Alchemist? Beautiful book, right?
Absolutely.
So the question that you asked me is, any tips? Well, this is a rough one. Is there's no words for any of this. You can't describe this with words. You can't describe transformation with words. There's none. You can have your own words and you can tell your story, but for you individually, your journey had no words that mattered. The actions mattered. The movement mattered. Just the action, because action is all that matters. You can't, so get the words out of your head, get the thoughts out of your head, get the blinders on, get in the zone, and find a way to stay there. Find a flow state. Read about flow state if you're not familiar with it. But find a way to get in that flow state and stay there as much as possible. It's impossible to do it 24/7. It's not possible. You know that.
Yeah. You mentioned something in your chapter. You just reminded me of it right now about the pose.
Yeah. Body language is a big deal.
Talk about that. Talk about your pose that you.
Yeah, I watched a video by Amy Cuddy on TED Talks, and she did a bunch of research on power posing, you know, putting your hands above your head. When blind people who've never seen someone raise their hands above their head win a race, they immediately throw their hands up in the air, right? So whenever you make yourself bigger in nature, your testosterone goes up and you're more powerful. My voice gets deeper as I put my arms up higher. It's really interesting.
Does my voice get deeper? Yeah, it does.
Go higher, go higher, go higher.
Is it deeper now?
It could be if you relaxed a little bit with your voice a little bit, but
I always loved this though. This is like one of my favorite poses.
It's beautiful. It's powerful. And putting your arms out to the side, above your head, anything to make yourself bigger. So when you have a really erect posture and really good posture, and you sit up really tall, there's a thing called the Alexander technique. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Actors technique, musicians, very powerful. So you imagine that there's a marionette up in the sky, and he has strings on the crown of your head, and the strings are all attached, and he's taking his strings from the little handle he's holding, and he's pulling those strings up to the sky, and you're raising your neck with your chin just slightly tucked down, and your head's pulling up. So you're drawing your spine one vertebra at a time with the crown of your head. So that
go up right away.
Yeah, you're up right away. You're more confident once again. You're making yourself taller, bigger. People have argued with me about this stuff, but I've helped a lot of people with it as well. It's made me a lot more confident to be able to acknowledge my posture, because when it's not good, I don't feel good about myself. So it's science. There's data behind it. I believe in it, and give it a shot if you haven't. Right. Screaming is good too. Yelling, screaming, grunting, especially during workouts.
Even the hero pose, I see, I've heard even the hero pose, just like standing like tall and just like, I got this.
Yep.
Or you're going to fly off and do whatever you have to do. And I've done that a few times and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be pretty. Let me get myself ready for this. So I think of that too, as well as that hero pose. Like, you can do this. You have it within you. Right?
Yeah. Better to do that after a HIIT session that's got you exhausted versus laying on the ground and crying. Like, a lot of people that do a really hard session will like bend over and hold their knees or lay on the ground or whatever. That's defeating. So push yourself to however far you want to go physically, but make sure that your recovery, and this is huge. To me, this is the most profound thing I'm going to say this whole podcast, is if you hit it hard, after you hit it hard, make sure that your body is telling you that was worth it, and that I'm better off for doing it. So in order to do that, put your hands on your head, which a lot of people do after they do something really difficult, because they want to stay in their body. Because the minute that you get out of your body and you start questioning what you just did, oh my God, that was so hard. How people will get, you train people and they're just crying and moaning and groaning. The ones that are badasses are the ones that keep their composure after something really difficult. So I just wanted to say that if you're going to train your body physically hard, think about your recovery and how you're showing up for your recovery. Am I empowered, or am I going to just have this defeated posture and body language? Because that's teaching your body that what you just did was bad for you. So it's really, you're responsible for how you show up in the world with your body, because your body's first. Your words aren't that powerful. Communication is 70% body language. 70%. Words are weak. I hate words, to be honest with you. They're just fluff for what our bodies are telling us and how we're showing up in the world. And I could just go on for days about this, because it's made a huge impact in my life. And this is post-show. I learned all this stuff after I lost weight. Because if you looked at me on the Biggest Loser finale, while I'm winning, my shoulders are rolled forward. I've got my hands covering my crotch, which is defense mechanism. And the only time that I had a big expression of body language was when I won. And they said, "You're the winner, Mike." And I put my hands above my head because I didn't know what else to do, because it was automatic, right? Yes, I won. Oh my God, this is amazing. Woo! But right after that,
that's just, that's amazing to me, because we're so used to our body language. And even though you went through all of that, you still weren't taught, like, embrace this, enjoy it, celebrate it, like, enjoy this. You are awesome now, who you are, even without the winning, right? It didn't come until after. And Correct. So I think that's with everybody, but what a lesson, and how powerful is that?
It's all been crazy, powerful, freaky. It's a freaky life. I've had a crazy life.
Fantastic, dude. Your story is so amazing. That's why I really want to make sure people read it. And this is only like a part of this man's story, and it's so touching. So please make sure to get the Little Black Book of Fitness. You can email me at butogalifestyle@gmail.com. You can tell me if you want the book, or even if you want the PDF file, the ebook of it, I will send it to you. I just want to get this goodness out to everybody. So let me know. So Mike, now what I'm going to do with you is ask you some life lesson questions.
Okay.
So you gave us some amazing information and just your experience of life. And so, 2020, we had all this going on. Things transformed and changed. I think it was one of the most transformative years for so many of us. So I'm going to ask you a couple fill in the blank questions and you let it go.
I will.
Your first one, I'm living my best life when?
That's stacked. That's a loaded question. I'm living my best life when I'm moving, when my body's in action.
I love it. That's great. One of my biggest aha moments was
when I realized that I was responsible for how I left people. That there's these things called mirror neurons. And if I'm insecure, if I'm feeling weak, if I'm feeling resentment or anger or jealousy or any of these weird emotions, that people feel that. And I love pretty much everyone. There's a couple people that you can keep, or not you personally, but maybe God could have kept them. But other than that, I love everybody, and I really want to make a difference for people. Like, it's been, since I was a little kid. Like, this isn't anything new. I wanted to be a doctor when I was a little kid. I became an EMT. I drove ambulance. I didn't become a doctor, but I did help some people. And so, yeah. So just in interactions, like being the best me that I possibly can, so that those people, on the short amount of time that they're on this planet, that they get to experience 2 minutes or an hour or 5 minutes with me, and I leave them better than I did before I got there, because I'm responsible for how I leave them. And it's a hard thing to do, to care about people so much but really it's caring about yourself.
I was going to say, it's us,
yeah. You caring about, right? So that's been it.
That's great. That's hugely insightful. Many people don't get that. So that's awesome.
They don't. Yeah. But hopefully some more will.
Yes.
That's my hope.
I love it. Your next one, what I know for sure is
nothing.
Right?
Because there's always another side to it. That's another hard one, is not having any set in stone thoughts, because there's always another side to it. And that's okay. You can think that for sure, guaranteed. And then it's not always the case, because there's always another side to it. So nothing.
Love it.
Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway from 2020?
Ooh, God, that's another loaded one. That love is all we need. Beautiful. Yep.
Perfect. What is your intention or focus word for 2021?
Patience.
Beautiful. I love it. Mike, thank you so much. This was amazing. Please tell people how they can get in touch with you, or where they can follow you to get inspired and more motivation from you.
Sure. Mike Messina 13 on Instagram. And if you put in Mike Messina Biggest Loser on Facebook, I'll come up. I've taken a long vacation from social media. I made my first post 3 or 4 days ago, and for like 2 years I hadn't posted. So I think I'm going to get back into it. Huh?
That is funny, because I hadn't seen you for a while, and even before I didn't even know you posted, but I was just like, I need to talk to Mike Messina. So you came to my mind and to my heart way even before all that. That's so funny. So yeah.
And then I started a podcast that's just getting ramped up now. It's another controversial way of saying things, but I don't care. I don't care if I get shadow banned or blocked. I'm going to say what I think. And if I get deplatformed, I don't care.
Right.
But it's called How to Not Be Fat, and it's a YouTube channel. Our first video just went out, and it's ridiculous. We do like cooking shows. I've really gotten into sous vide. So and I haven't talked about my diet, but I'm pretty strict carnivore. So just meat, eggs, and cheese. I guess not strict. It's called dirty carnivore. But I like Natalie's autoimmune stuff is just so good now, from not having the inflammatory stuff, and we've been feeling great and mentally clear. And I can't gain weight if I try on the carnivore diet. Like, I don't have to train. I can eat as much as I want, and I feel good. It's amazing. Anyways, yeah.
Well, this is a great way for people to get a hold of you if they want to know more information about that.
Yeah. How to Not Be Fat, YouTube, check it out.
Love it. I will definitely go check that out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for just sharing your knowledge, your experience, your love, and all of that. It's very heartfelt. And thank you for who you are in the world. Thank you for the millions of people that your story has inspired and is still inspiring. So I acknowledge you and all that you are, Mister, and it's the best is still yet to come.
I hope so. You too.
Yes.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone, for listening, and have a wonderful Workout Wednesday.